And then San Francisco just rolls to almost 500 yards of offense. I mean, what changed so drastically where the Eagles defense just couldn't put up much of a fight?
I wish I had a good answer for you on that. I think that the first two series were not really the Eagles defense, at least not the defense that we've seen over the last month or so. That defense they got pressure on those first two drives. Granted, it was only 6 plays, but they weren't giving them any lanes to run. The coverage was tight. They were doing everything absolutely perfectly. But if you look back over this last month for the Eagles, with maybe the exception of the second half against the Chiefs, this defense has been shredded. I mean, the Buffalo Bills tore them apart. The Cowboys really ripped through them. The Washington Commanders had a lot of success with them. The Chiefs, obviously, for the first half, really had no trouble, moving the ball against them. This is a defense that just has a lot of trouble tackling. They've got questions at linebacker, questions at safety. So if you can somehow neutralize that defensive line, this is the result you get. They got away with it against some bad teams and some banged up teams. But when you get a healthy 49ers team with the weapons they have, this Eagles defense, the way it's playing, had no shot.
As we're recording this, we don't know what's going to happen with Shaq Leonard. Maybe the Eagles can get some help there moving forward. But even if they do, that doesn't necessarily feel like enough to me. I mean, well, we can get to the offense in a minute, but priority number one for the Eagles has to be doing something to maybe, look, you might not turn them into the unit they were last year, but this isn't going to cut it against the best teams they're going to go up against.
No question. The unit they were last year, and it's a lot of the same players. I mean, they lost Javon Hargrave up front, but they did replace him with a pretty good guy in rookie Jalen Carter. Most of the rest of the unit is still there. And that unit last year got 70 sacks. It was a relentless pressure that they're just not getting, especially against the better teams. And last year, we also saw that the second level of the Eagles had a lot of trouble making tackles in the open field. And it hurt them in a lot of their games. Again, they were so good that they were able to cover it up sometimes. But against the better teams now, you're seeing that, these teams can find ways to get through them. I mean, how many times did the 49ers have a big play where it looked like their safety or Nick Morrow, the linebacker, had a guy dead to rights and somehow let him up and let him go? We saw it less last season, but again, they were better. They could cover it up better. They just can't do that this year.
Over on the other side of the ball, it's a huge sigh of relief for the Eagles that Jalen Hurts returned to this game. He left for a little while. He comes back. I hate to sound like an alarmist, but between the knee injury and now this, do you get worried about Jalen Hurts' durability this season, just with the various scares and bumps and bruises that he's had to deal with?
Yeah, I always worry about that with a quarterback who likes to run as much as he does. He'll slide most of the time, but he has no problem throwing his body, forward to get extra yards or so. That wasn't the case when he left with to get checked by the concussion spotter. But obviously he's been hitting the knee a few times. And, you do wonder how banged up is he really. Now, he still threw for almost 300 yards. He wasn't running very effectively in this game, but, you need a healthy Jalen Hurts to make this offense go. Marcus Mariota is not going to cut it at all. You need Hurts to be the kind of dual threat player that he's always been to really make this offense go. Because when he's a running threat, it changes a lot about what they can do. He was not a running threat in this game. And obviously, once they fell so far behind, it was really irrelevant. He had to throw. But I do worry about Jalen Hurts. I think, he's an MVP candidate in the league. He's the most valuable player on the Eagles, to be sure. And they won't go very far without him.
So you're right. Obviously, the Niners got out in front, and that's going to take away your run game. I get that. You play the situation at hand. But even still, when this game was still in the balance, and I know the Eagles, they have a fantastic receiver duo. I know they can throw the ball all over the yard, but it did feel like they kind of forgot about their running game, even when this game was still within their reach. Is that an oversight? Is that just the strength of the San Francisco defense? I thought that was a little bit surprising.
I thought it surprising too, and I'm assuming it was a choice by them that they thought, well, this front line of San Francisco is so good, we're going to have better luck throwing the ball. And, they did throw the ball pretty well early in the game. So I'm sure they wanted to do more of that. If it was to me, when the Eagles, sometimes games start to get out of hand, they're better off relying on that running game. And they do, it can be very powerful. They can just drain opposing defenses. And I guess they thought they couldn't do that to San Francisco. But it's hard with them. They have so many things on offense that they do well. They sometimes will come out throwing like crazy. They'll sometimes come out running like crazy. They're not often very well balanced because whatever they're doing well, they just kind of stick to it. And in this case, I think that there was probably a point in the game where they did need to rely on that a little bit to try to settle things down. And before they even had a chance, the game was out of reach.